Hi everyone, this is Nadia. I'm an occult specialist that uses spiritual intelligence to empower entrepreneurs into a healthy, empowered money story to live a balanced life. Today's topic is a request topic by numerous people in countless emails, okay, that's my mouth going faster than my mind. Let's start again. So I've had constantly people come and reach out to me and say, hey, and it's not like this topic is something that, people have directly asked me the question. It's always like in a roundabout manner, but, it sort of comes back to the same thing. And because money is one of the heavy topics that I do under bold confidence, which is what Spartanite represents, I thought I'd do a video on it because I really enjoy the topic myself and enjoying, having a look at it, how to present yourself in it, how to deconstruct the myths and how to construct yourself into something that's very viable and strong. Okay. So today we're going to be covering the major blocks to wealth are, drum roll, there are two things, okay? I don't know why I'm doing this because that would be four, so I'm just going to do this. So there are two things that are the major blocks to wealth. Lots of people do not realize them because they're so ingrained as part of us that it becomes almost borderline impossible to separate. It's like separating two strands of my hair. It's quite tough, I'll say that. So the first thing is that understanding what wealth is not is very, very important than understanding what wealth is. A lot of people, I know this kind of goes against the typical self-development, self-help mentality or whatever you want to call it. They was like, oh, find out what you do want, not what you don't want. I'm like, I teach the complete opposite. That's the thing. As a sorceress, as a woman of God, as an individual who is very clear in her divine mission and also clear in my alignment of thought, it's very important to know what you don't want, because when you don't want it, you can put up barriers and you can put up barricades to push it out of your life. Or for instance, it kind of reminds me of when people bid on eBay. Like if they've put like, I don't know, let's just say this tin, and I don't know why it makes an appearance in my videos all the time, but bear with me. It's like my little Vaseline pot of my lippy. So imagine it says 150 years, and I'm just going to imagine it's 150 pounds, okay? Which is a bit ridiculous and outrageous for a little lip balm, but bear with me, because there's a story I'm trying to teach here. So, and if it said buy now, and if it says also you can bid as well, like you have it on eBay. Okay, so if I bid and I say 110 is what I'm willing to pay, if Joe Blogs has said that 135 is his minimum, then my offer is going to be rejected immediately. Well, that's kind of before I actually get into the heart and the meat of potatoes of the actual video about wealth. That's what I want to say, that having a very strong understanding of what you don't want, like Joe Blogs does not want anything less than 135 pounds for this little tin. Brave man, I must say. Moving on. So one of the first things that I say that is a big, huge, humongous block to wealth is something called acceptable loss. Now, I'm not the first person who per se would teach about acceptable loss. There are a lot of people who are worth their salt and worth their merit who can teach you about acceptable loss, but not everybody's gonna. I guess so many people can listen to this video and think, oh yeah, well, acceptable loss is, they might it might click at an intellectual level, but it won't click at a quantum level, so they can't really explain it the way somebody who understands it at a quantum level can do so. Acceptable loss is something where you are accepting a certain level of loss in your life based on perhaps what you may have gone through, may have not gone through, based on your socioeconomic status or lack of therein, based on your pedigree or lack of therein. Quite a lot of things is what I'd say. Acceptable loss is the difference between somebody who we would think, okay, well, that's odd. I didn't think that person would be successful with money, but what does that person know that I don't? And you start to ask questions, because I started asking myself those questions. I was like, this person has money, and if I don't have that level of money, they know something I don't. Or they are carrying and operating themselves in a way that I'm not. So what is the missing link? And I'm not the type of person who wants to get the missing link from somebody. and copy them. I have no interest in, I guess, emulating somebody's success. I found success in my own way, which is a very unique path that I do teach for individuals who are not looking to jump onto the 200th webinar who says, sign up for this and we'll teach you everything. That's fine for people with a certain level of mentality. Traditionally, if you are interested in Spartanite work, you're probably tired of the boring marketing fluff, the hype, the whatever it is, and you really want a very clear perspective, and it's not like a convoluted textbook. Accepted lost is one of the first things that I would always say is a major factor when people come to me. They've accepted not making X amount of money. When I suggest an X amount of money, it's the fear of money is what I call it, or the fear, and it's going to bleed into the second point, which I feel is even a bigger block than number one, but I'm just going to try and stay with number one for the sake of making it easier for you guys watching this. So acceptable loss, for instance, I'm going to give you an example. If I wanted to make 100,000 a month, I am Nadia, and I say, okay, so whether it's from Spartanite, whether it's from private investments, whether it's from assets, I want to see 100,000 come towards me. This is, I'm giving an example of X amount, basically. You can substitute it for, I want to make 1,000, I want to make 10,000, I want to make 50,000, I want to make 100. Some people who are watching this, 100 is probably a joke for them. You know, it's probably just like, really? But I'm just going to give an example of 100 per month. Not per year, but per month. Meaning that would be about 1.2 million in whatever currency that you're looking at. That's the number that I've been thrown up in my head, so I'm going to run with that. So per se, say for instance that I was making 70 per month. This is an example I'm sharing with everybody so that you guys can understand how the merits and virtues of acceptable loss actually work. So I'm making 70 per month at the moment, and I want to move and close that gap from 70 and then obviously move upwards and close it into 100. Well, if I'm making 70 and my goal is 100, then I need to really ask myself the question of where is the acceptable loss between 70 and 99? What's really going on? What is it that I'm not seeing about myself? What is it I think I'm seeing? Because 70k a month is good, but what is it I'm not seeing? It's the not seeing about what we really need help with. Lots of people are very egotistical. They're very arrogant. They think they know everything. They think they're always right. And so they can never humble themselves to really be eager to learn. There are so many things I don't know in the world. I certainly don't claim to sit here and say I know everything. No, there are specialized fields that clients come to me and I have no clue. I probably sound like a dummy or a zombie. It's like, wow, I look at my clients, I'm like, wow, I'd really like to learn that from you. I mean, how can I set up something where I'm more than happy to learn it from you, because I really like that specialized skill and I'm very impressed that you have it. So learning never stops at school. I think it's only the myth of those who do not keep educating themselves and do not reverse the indoctrination who think that it stops. So with that acceptable loss, if my goal is 100,000 but I'm still hitting 70, then there is a level of acceptable loss that inside myself that I have that I'm not admitting to myself. There's an old saying, wealth begets wealth, money begets money. When people see you are successful with money, they want to give you money. It's a very simple analogy. I can't put it into words energetically, but the feeling that people get when they see you good with money or they see you in possession of it is obviously, number one, you are of value. Number two, it's more, okay, this person looks like a good custodian of money. They obviously look like they know what they're doing with it. So here, take mine because, well, you obviously know what you're doing with yours. It's a very subconscious programming that it's taken me many years to actually put that line into words, because it's like some people, I wanted to go into the shop, or it could be physically, they have a shop, or it could be an online shop or store. And when I look at whatever's there, I mean, the product or the service might be very appealing, but I'm kind of a bit like, I'll shop somewhere else. It's nothing to do with price. It's nothing to do with how it was looking, although aesthetics obviously count to a certain degree. It was the energy that was behind it. And when I could truly, like, if I can sit with a product, again, let's go back to the lippy tin, because, well, it's here. And if Joe Bloggs has made his little lippy tin and he wants to make women look kissable, Joe Bloggs' energy is going to be in this. Whatever product or service a business owner is putting out, their energy is in it all the time. Meaning that you'll either feel very drawn to it because it's empowering and it's beautiful and mysterious and it helps you upwards, or it's complete opposite. So it's not about a lot of traditional business coaching, marketing, whatever it is. It'll be like, do this, do that, do this. They lack the understanding of the psychographics behind it. They lack the understanding of the psychic energy that comes off a person. Your intentions might be good, but your energy might be so repulsive to somebody that whilst they may want to sit in your company, they may want to be your client, they may want to give you money, it's like, you know what, I'm not dealing with this. Because energetically, it's like, you're just pushing them upwards. So, acceptable loss is a big one for a lot of us. Most people I see, and obviously we have different stratas of people. We have different levels of people. I'm not just talking financially. We have different levels of how people think mentally. The average thinking is poverty thinking. The average thinking is scarcity thinking. The average thinking is it's never enough. And, well, obviously, if you subscribe to that thinking, it is really never going to be enough for you. So when we look at acceptable loss, the questions we really need to ask ourselves is, well, where's the model of someone that's hitting that 100,000 a month? Do I like the way they're making that 100,000 a month? Because somebody could be making 300k a month, but if you don't like their business practices, you don't like who they are, something feels shady, off, weird about them, then you're not obliged to do whatever it is they're doing. For all you know, they could be embezzling, stealing, they could be crooks. That's definitely, we want to remain in alignment with financial integrity. We don't want to be doing anything weird or shady or shit, just this weird shit that'll end up in prison. We don't want that. That's just not something, we want to get away from that. So that's unhealthy and it's disrespectful and dishonorable to money. So acceptable loss is one of the major things that people don't understand. That's a big block to money. They've accepted whatever little they have. That little becomes okay for them. Whatever level you're at, irrespective of whatever you've made, to somebody that's very small. Now I'm not trying to belittle or humiliate anybody. I'm not trying to say, oh, what you're making is small, someone's making a lot. But they're levels, basically. Like, for instance, I had this conversation with somebody whose events I've attended, and her and I had this conversation, and, you know, you can start out with X amount of thousand per month. That's my goal. And then when you get to that X amount of thousand, you're like, nah, that's good. I've hit the goal, but, oh, okay, it's not enough. It's not because you're ungrateful. It's not because you didn't value it. You realize by the time you've got to that goal, your mentality is now stretched. Think of an invisible rope. It's stretched out. It's expanded. And you're like, okay, time to double it. Let's move up. You get to that. And you're like, okay, I see where I'm going with this. Time to double up again. It's nothing about greed. A lot of people who aren't financially ambitious think that all people who have financial ambition are greedy. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's just basically, as you move up the levels, you see new threats, you see new things that you have to deal with, new people. How do you carry yourself at that point? What type of people do you want to be around? What are they representing to you as a person? So I guess there's so many things that we could really ask ourselves when it comes to acceptable loss. But for the most part, acceptable loss is really coming from low self-esteem, and it's also accepting that whatever level that you think you can get, I can't really get it because it doesn't really exist. A lot of people simply don't have the role model for it, and that I can definitely understand. It comes as no surprise that most have never been around real money, or they've never seen people who have real money. So real money is quite frightening. It's something that, how do I put it? In the construct of wealth, they are not in it. They are out of the construct of wealth. So for them, I'll try and explain it with my hands. So this is Nadia, or this is you. Imagine this is you, this is a person. And this is wealth. And instead of bridging that gap between wealth so that your mind is in complete alignment with it, to the point that this right hand even merges with the left, to the point that it's actually the hand in prayer, meaning that, you know, the masculine, feminine, or the right, left has aligned. What happens is with most people, watch carefully, it becomes further and further and further and further and further and further and further from the truth. It becomes so convoluted that they don't even know what wealth is. They have no concept. Wealth, people think, is it's quite painful, but they think it's having an expensive fur coat, and it's having diamonds, and it's having a big fancy swanky house, and they think that, you know, it must be like flying private jet and all the things that they think that they're shown on TV, or having like a big yacht or a boat, or, you know, living in the central of a city, because, well, that's where rich people live. It's very interesting when I really start to dig in mentoring and elite mentoring, or if people want to do consultation, I really understand their construct of what money is in their life. Then it helps me re-engineer and say, okay, well, you want this type of life, cool, this is how we're going to work to get there. I don't have the habit of working with people who like a flashy, showy, gaudy, materialistic lifestyle. That's not what Spartanite is. I mean, there are plenty of people who talk about their wardrobes and private jets online, and, you know, their cars and their watches. By all means, go listen to them. That's not what I'm teaching. I'm teaching the foundations of wealth, inner wealth inside, so that one builds that inner empire in order to see it on the outside. So, in conclusion, with acceptable loss, before we start moving on and it starts bleeding into the second point, acceptable loss, where is it that I'm not feeling comfortable with that 70, 100k, let's go back to the example. What is it that needs to transform inside me so that moving up to 80 and then moving up to 90 and then really touching that 100 is doable, or it feels natural? Because lots of people, what they want to do, and what all these like little gurus, and I'm a 6-figure guru, I'm a 7-figure guru, I don't know how many guru, I don't know, I've just lost track of everything. What they want to take you from is like, oh, you know, in X amount of time, we're going to get you 100k. And it's like they always look like they're on cocaine or something. They don't have an easy, natural, fluid, empowered, peaceful, and graceful way of doing it, so that you don't have to rush into that 100,000 a month. You can grow slowly, you grow. When you grow into something, it's more elegant. There's no rush there, and you give your parasympathetic and your nervous system time to calm down and slowly adjust into everything. It's when I see these people rush into things, it makes me ask, when a plane takes off, do you see just go shh up there? I mean, I've never seen that. It takes a plane a while to slowly creep up to 35, 37, 40,000, 42,000 feet. It takes a while for it to get there, because it's slowly cruising at that altitude. Do the same thing with money and actually be quite successful. Okay, with that wrapping up of acceptable loss, which is the first pointer, the second pointer, which I find personally is the biggest humongous block in the barricade to wealth, is, I guess, going on from acceptable loss, is I don't want money in my life, or I don't want to be successful, because people fear. It's not the money that they fear. I'm going to try and explain this. People fear what they'll end up becoming when they get to that 100,000. 100,000 is just a little reference point. It's not the actual number I'm talking about. So we're going to go back to that 70. Okay. In your mind, think you're making 70,000 a month, okay? Then you have to move up to that 100. You're gonna have to be a different person to start thinking to get to that point. So in their mind, it's gonna be like, I don't like who I'm gonna become with money, or I don't like what I see myself as that. So it's better to keep myself away from it. There was a Romanian guy I was about to say studied with, but no. I worked with a Romanian guy when I was 26. And he said some really interesting things. His uncle was into realty in Romania, in Bucharest. And he also owned, I think it was a chain of small boutique hotels or a gym. I forget, it's been a long time. But he said something that was very profound to me. And he had written notes when his uncle was talking. They were all in Romanian. So I used to sit and have lunch with him. And we used to talk about this stuff. He wanted to set up, I think, his own gyms. He wanted to go back to Romania or something like that. It was in central London. I worked with him. But he said something that really hit me that day. And translated from Romanian, he said, money never changes you. You simply have to change to acquire it. Most people are unwilling to change. In fact, the number one thing that I've often heard from people, and they could be even successful with money, is, I'm not going to change. Someone should take me as I am. You know, it's always very aggressive. It's like, No one's asking you to change. Calm down. And if somebody is trying to put pressure on you to do things a certain way or be a certain way, they're just controlling you. You just need to eliminate them out of your life. It's you don't have to become upset about it. There are habits you're gonna have to change. There are places you're gonna have to change. There are people you're gonna have to change. There are gonna be many, many things in your life you're gonna have to alter. Not all of them are gonna be a walk in the park or a picnic. Most of them are gonna be quite painful to do because you are really aligning yourself with your highest good, with your best good. And as one of my clients usually says, you cannot expect someone to help you if they've not even helped themselves. They're not willing to help themselves. There are a lot of people who are expecting help, but when you look at their life, they've been stuck in the same shitty place for goodness knows how long because they keep holding on to those excuses of whatever. I mean, I don't even have the time to sit and count excuses in my head because I don't have any. If I look at something, I ask myself, all right, what's the thing that needs to be jigged around? It sort of reminds me a bit like Jenga or like Scrabble or something. In my head, something needs to be moved around so that I can be in alignment with what I have. It's very simple for me, and I simplify it. I simplify it for all of my clients. I always say, I don't want anybody to watch this. If you are my client, you kind of know this as the truth, but I'll say this for anybody who isn't. My clients are not anything unique, brilliant, special. They don't come to me with pedigree or whatever it is. They are people that are determined. The main thing that I serve people with is determination. I already see their hunger. I see their ego. And what I do is I just take Joe Blogg's lippy tin and I say, here's the lippy tin, use it. Use it 2 times a day and take the best pictures with it. It will work. You have to put the let me explain this, man. You have to put the lipstick on yourself. I can't come and do it for you. But what most people think, and then, forgive me for trying to put everything in order in my head. What most people think is, I'm gonna show them this, and then mysteriously, they're gonna have a nice photo. No, it means opening the lippy tin, it means putting it on, it means getting in front of the camera, it means do the work. It comes as no surprise that most people are lazy and they are afraid of hard work. I mean, that's just how the cookie crumbles. In the pursuit of money, the lazy are not rewarded. Now, by laziness, there are different types of laziness. Somebody can work very physically hard and say, but I still don't see any progress. It's probably because you're physically working hard, but mentally, there's different types of laziness. There can be emotional laziness, spiritual laziness, financial laziness, but mainly I see when it comes to money, it's mental laziness. It is the sheer lack of application to whatever it is you wish to do. And then when you ask somebody something, they don't want to do the work because they're lazy. They'd rather someone else do it for them. Yeah. Wealth is not in alignment with laziness. Sorry, it's like going to the gym or going to yoga or Pilates and then you come home and eat trash. It's 2 separate things. It's oil and water. They don't mix. That would disappoint many people watching it because they're kind of looking, and a lot of people are scammed. And a lot of people are taken from what it is because they're looking for a lazy way out. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying, I mean, there's places where I put my money when I was younger, turned out to be a scam. It turned out a person ran off with my money. I was certainly and definitely not trying to avoid the work. But when I really had to ask myself, the warning signs were already there. I was just not listening to my intuition, which is something that I've really had to hone over a period of time. Listen to the gut feeling, listen to the tiny voice that's always banging on inside you all the time because he or she is right. So that barricade, you got that huge block. Your reference point or your role model of what you see somebody with money as is, and it's sad that most people become this way, arrogant, snobbish, full of themselves, smug, elitist, all those kind of things come up very quickly. I have met a lot of people who have had money, and what it's done, that money has done, is it's just shined a really big torch on who they really are, right? some people's life is so driven by money that they have no comprehension of what it is to just live normally and chill normally and just have access to big amounts of money, but just live a very regular life and enjoy yourself. That is just insecurity, it's approval seeking, it's low self-worth. I can't do anything for someone like that unless they truly say, you know, I want to use Spartanite work as a template to be able to heal myself out of that I don't have that materialistic reliance on things. Because what lots of people think wealth equals materialism. No, it does not. Someone putting a glass of champagne and putting a Chanel bag next to it, that's not luxury, that's not premium, that is materialism. That's someone that's just showcasing what they can afford materially. That's not luxury. A lot of people mistake that for thinking that's luxury living. No, it's not. Luxury living is being in alignment with the spirit inside so that you are in financial integrity of what you're doing. Lots of people think luxury living is sitting there with women think they sit there with a pretty scarf and a rich man. It's like, oh look, these are my nails. It's like a little doggy basically. Look at me. Look how amazing I am. Ta-da! We see this on Instagram all day. We see it on social media channels all day. And people have made an entire living out of it because there's so many people who they have no real sense of self. They have no real sense of real understanding. They have no real sense of love. They have no sense of self-approval. They have no sense of self-respect, self-esteem, the self. The tenets of wealth always come back to the self. The acceptable loss is because you're lacking the drive inside, the self-determination, self-esteem, self-worth, self-value, self-love. You're lacking the self. You are invisible. It's like me putting something in front of my face here. Well, you're only going to see my hand with a little ring on it. You're not going to see my face, right? That's how a lot of people carry themselves around money. They're always blocked to it. Okay? So acceptable loss is the first one. A very, very poignant thing. So if you've accepted loss in your life, be prepared to meet loss. Okay, if you accept and say, no, I'm not accepting that and I'm going to get that 100k this month, I don't know where it's coming from, don't know how it's coming from, it's coming, and you have full belief. A lot of people do not have full belief, not in the money, not in people, not in anything, not in the world. They don't have belief in themselves. They lack the belief because, again, your parents have bullied you, your family's bullied you, kids bullied you at school. It's bullying, it's abuse from childhood, it's everything. The inner child wounds, you have to heal all that. Most people just think, oh, therapists and psychologists sit and talk about inner child work, how boring. That little girl, that little boy needs healing. You need to talk to them all the time inside to be able to build those empirical foundations of wealth moving upwards. And obviously the second thing, find a role model who you admire, has money, but also you feel is in alignment with you. If you're looking for materialistic, shallow, gaudy people, then that's your goal. You're looking for them and how they behave with money. Do that. If you're not looking for that, look for somebody who obviously is more established and more quiet with their money. This is not me saying that one is better over the other. One's more a bit like a Ferrari and one's like a Bentley or a Rolls Royce. It sort of depends, what your aim or what your end goal or what your aim is in life. So number one is acceptable loss. Where have you accepted loss and where are you looking to repair it, or who would you look at to be able to do that? And then number two is you're really, really avoiding it, or you're avoiding wealth and money simply because, well, I'm not going to like who I become when I have it. And then I have to rejig and change my life and I don't want to do it. I'm comfortable where I am. Wealth does not approach and does not stay with the comfortable. Okay? Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'm super interested to hear what anybody has to say on this topic. Lots of you has asked me about this topic and about to kind of give you a clear picture on wealth blocks as well. And I think there are a couple of more things that I will be covering in subsequent rounds when it comes to money. Any questions? I would love to hear from you. Feel free to throw it in the chat section or email us directly at support@thespartanite.com, which is also found in the section below. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, you're worth it. Bye.